Okay, guys, this is our third lesson on factoring polynomials. We're going to focus today on special products and four terms. We're going to try to condense this all into one video, so let's get started. Okay, written algebraically for special products, we know that it would look like a squared minus b squared. When I factor it out, I don't even have to do a whole lot of math here. I know that I'm going to always have a plus b, and it's always going to be multiplied by a minus b. Okay, that's my special product. Okay, so let's look at an example 13. I'm going to look for two things. I need two numbers that are going to multiply to give me this, and then two numbers that are going to multiply to give me this, and they're going to be the same. Okay, so this is looking like it's term A, and then looking like it's term B. Okay, so two of the same things. So 3x times 3x will give me 9x squared. So that's the first term in each, okay, of the binomials. Okay, and then I know that I'm going to have a plus and a minus. Okay, and what two numbers are the same that multiply to give me 16? 4. So these are exactly the same binomials, with the exception of the signs in between. So example 14, okay, so two numbers that multiply together with a variable to give me 25n will be 5n. I have a plus and a minus, and then 9 times 9 is 81. Okay, this one's a little bit different because we're not going to have anything that's going to work for this right here. The first thing we're going to do is factor out the GCF. Okay, so what can I pull out of 8 and negative 18g squared? The only thing I can pull out is a 2. So I'm left with 8 divided by 2 is 4, minus 18 divided by 2 is 9, and then we leave the g squared. So we're just going to leave the 2 on the front. It's not a big deal being there. And I'm still now doing the same thing here. What is going to multiply itself to give me 2? Okay, leave that on the outside. So 2 times 2. That's the first term in each. Okay, so this 2 just came all the way over. 2 times 2 gave me that. I'm going to have a plus and a minus. And what's going to give me 9g squared times itself is 3g. All right, here we go. We're moving on to some more examples here. If this is what your factor looks like, or what we're going to factor, what it looks like, it's always going to look like a plus b squared. It's going to be the exact same thing, and you're going to square it. All right? So then to factor it out, we're going to have what is going to multiply. You can factor it out as usual. What is going to multiply multiply to give me 9 by itself, and then add to give me 6. Okay, so you can still set up your chart if you want to. Add to give me 6. Okay, 3 and 3, which is 6. Okay, and I know that if this is what my equation looks like, or my expression looks like, it's going to be the plus and the plus. We're going to have a special product. So it's actually going to be x plus 3 times x plus 3, or we can just write x plus 3 squared. Now if I multiplied those two together, I'd get this out. 17, okay, same thing. I'm going to, remember, multiply that first term and the first coefficient and that last term, which is just like a 1. Okay, so I'm looking what's going to multiply to give me 4, and then add to give me 4 as well. Well, that's 2, because it's going to be by times itself, right? So 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 plus 2 is also 4. Okay? So then I have, but how am I going to get the g squared? I'm going to have 2 times g times 2 times g, so that'll be twice, because it'll be squared. And then how do I get the h? It'll just be h times h will give me the h squared. Okay? And then the same is similar here with the subtraction. When there's a subtraction sign in front of that middle term, okay, it's just going to look like a minus b squared. So to factor that out, I'm looking for the same thing. But now I know I'm going to have a minus sign in the middle, and I know it's going to be squared because this expression is set up just like this one. It's a special product. Okay, what's going to multiply that number by itself to give me 25 and also add to give me 10, or negative 10 would be the negative 5. And that first is just x minus 5 squared. And the next one, I'm going to multiply to give me 36, but add to be negative 12. We're going to have n, and then remember it's a minus because there's that minus sign in front of the middle term, and our number is 6. Okay? So in summary, the first thing we're going to do is factor out the GCF, okay, if there is any. Okay, so there wasn't for these down here. Then we're going to determine if it's a special product. Okay, and we're going to factor accordingly. Okay, so again, if this was our special product, we know that this is what it's going to look like. But then if this is what our question looked like, we know this is what our answers are going to look like. Okay, so you factor according to what the question's given as. All right, and then 4 terms. Okay. Example 20. What you're going to do here to find what 2 things multiplied to give us this big thing, this is very similar to what we did today in class. You're going to factor out the 2 GCFs. This is like the second part of what we did in class on Friday. Okay. I know my first term is going to be this, what's the same here. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm dividing out this x minus 2. Okay. That is my first term, or my first binomial is x minus 2. And I'm going to multiply it by what was left. Okay, so the 5x plus 7. 21 is very similar. Okay, the things that are the same, they're good on the inside. They're exactly the same. I'm going to divide out that m plus 3. That's my greatest common factor. So that's my first binomial. And then what's left is that negative 9m minus 5. Okay. 22 is different, just a little bit, and let's see why. Okay. So I'm going to look to divide out a y minus 2, but I don't have y minus 2. I have 2 minus y. So what we're going to do is we're going to need to switch these, but when we do, this positive becomes a negative, or if it was a negative, it would become a positive. So let's rewrite it, 3y squared. This whole first part doesn't change. But now since I want this to be y minus 2, I'm going to make this a negative 4 on the outside. Okay? And then I can still divide out my GCF then of y minus 2. So my first binomial is y minus 2, not plus, y minus 2. And the second is what's left, 3y squared minus 4. 23, the same thing. Okay, I have d minus 5, but then I have 5 minus d. So I'm going to rewrite it, 2d times d minus 5. I need to change this around, so I'm going to need to make that now a positive 3, and then I can switch these to be d minus 5. Divide out your d minus 5. That's my greatest common factor. That's also going to be my first binomial. And what's left is my second, 2d. Remember, now it's a plus, 3. 24. What we're going to do is split this into 2 terms like we did in class today. Okay, we're on Friday. We're going to have our first binomial be x cubed plus 2x squared. And we're going to add it to 8x plus 16. And then I want to factor out, okay? So what can I pull out of x cubed and 2x? I'm going to pull out x squared. X cubed divided by x squared is x, and then I'm left with a positive 2. I can pull an 8 out of the 8x and the 16. I'm left with x, and 16 divided by 8 is a positive 2. So again, so now I have my x plus 2 is my first binomial, and then my second binomial is what's left, x squared plus 8. And an example 25. Okay, now look, if I tried to make this a binomial right here, and then try to make this a binomial, I'm not going to be able to pull out my greatest common factor. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch it around just like we kind of played with it a little bit in class. We're going to use the commutative property. That's just the property that tells me, that just tells me that I can move the things around in my equation or my expression, okay? I'm going to use this to rewrite the polynomial to pull out the greatest common factor. Okay. So in order to do that, I'm going to try to rearrange. I'm going to arrange so that maybe this 5 and this 10, that's going to be the largest number I'm going to be able to pull out, is going to be a 5. So let's rearrange. Let's bring this 2 up front. So let's do x cubed. Let's take this 2x and bring it up front. So plus 2x squared, that can be the first term. And then I'm going to rearrange so that I have my x's just in order. So plus, we have that negative 5x and then a minus 10. Okay. Still factor out your GCF. I can pull out an x squared. I'm left with x plus 2. And this is a negative 5. I'm going to pull out that negative 5, and I'm left with x plus 2. Negative 10 divided by negative 5 is positive 2. And then rewrite. My first binomial is x plus 2, and my second binomial is x squared minus 5. What I'm going to do is pause the video and write our summary because we're getting close on time, and then you can copy it down. The code word for this, make sure that you do copy this down though. The code word for this lesson is chicken nuggets for Denisha, because I know she loves some chicken nuggets. So go ahead and copy this down, copy down the summary. Do not forget to copy this down. You can pause the video and make sure that you email me if you have any questions. If you need to show work for the left-hand page on a separate sheet of paper, that's fine. I would like for you to attempt them all. That's a summarizing sheet that does kind of everything that we've done. Okay, so do your best on it, but email me if you have any questions over the weekend.